Instead of Roger Stone and WikiLeaks, it's Rudy Giuliani and some computer guy in Delaware. So this didn't work. So he'll try another planted story or another, Russian, use some other, discredited Russian propaganda. And for those of you spreading misinformation, shame on you. Shame on you. I don't know how some of you sleep at night who are doing this for a living on television.
All right. So the latest Trump deranged media figure to throw in the towel? Chuck Todd. Just like Jim Acosta, Todd has spent years losing his mind over Trump, and now he's quitting NBC News. Let's be real. This has been a long time coming. NBC has had Todd on the chopping block for a while. And if you remember, he already lost his spot as the main anchor of Meet the Press after tanking the ratings. The network swapped him out for Kristen Welker because, well, nobody was watching. And now he's flat out walking away. But here's where it gets even funnier. Todd wasn't just struggling with ratings. He was also furious when NBC hired Ronna McDaniel, the former RNC chair, to bring some diversity of thought to the network. He went on a full-blown meltdown, along with the rest of the NBC and MSNBC crew, because the idea of hearing different opinions was just too much for them to handle. So, before we break it all down, let's take a trip down memory lane and look at some of Chuck Todd's best moments, including his absolute panic attack over NBC daring to bring in a conservative voice. Roll the clips.
Elephant in the room.
Yeah.
I think our bosses owe you an apology for putting you in this situation, because I don't know what to believe. She is now a paid contributor by NBC News. So I have no idea whether any answer she gave to you was because she didn't want to mess up her contract. She wants us to believe that she was speaking for the RNC when the RNC was paying for her. So she has credibility issues that she still has to deal with.
Yeah.
Is she speaking for herself, or is she speaking on behalf of who's paying her? Once at the RNC, she did say that, hey, I'm speaking for the party. I get that. That's part of the job. So what about here? I will say this. I think your interview did a good job of exposing, I think, many of the contradictions. And look, there's a reason why there's a lot of journalists at NBC News uncomfortable with this, because many of our professional dealings with the RNC over the last 6 years have been met with gaslighting, have been met with character assassination. So it is, that's where you begin here. And so when NBC made the decision to give her NBC News' credibility, you got to ask yourself, what does she bring NBC News?
This gets at something, Dean, that my executive producer likes to say is, hey, voters want to be lied to sometimes. They don't always love being told hard truths. I'm a journalist. I have to deal in facts. I deal in facts.
There's a lot of scientific research out there that says gender is a spectrum.
Was it a decades-long assault on science and objective facts, particularly by some on the right?
Are you confident that you know that gender is as binary as you're describing it?
You have one party that has decided that the Second Amendment is almost a religious tenet.
If you're upset about extra IRS agents, stop cheating on your taxes, Congressman.
A lot of Republicans in the last 3 weeks have suddenly found themselves deciding, hey, party over country. Republicans try to keep focus on a border emergency. In some ways, they've sabotaged our immigration policy, and this is why we're here. Mark Bray, you are writing this book, Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook. Fascism has only been defeated with violence, right? I assume that's the argument you'd make. Joe Biden believes he's eternally optimistic. He's not cynical. He is the better angel president.
There really is a lot of people who believe this is a rigged court.
Republicans are abuzz with cultural warfare, Trump-style grievances, and really passing laws to deal with mythological problems, meaning they don't exist. They were just created in prime time on propaganda cable TV. There is no editorial point of view here on any of these newscasts on MSNBC in the daytime.
We shouldn't have accepted the premise that there was liberal bias. Our bias is facts. I hear the attacks on fact checkers where they fact check Republicans 6 times more than they fact check Democrats. Yeah, perhaps the Republicans are being factually incorrect more often.
Who could have seen this coming? Oh, that's right. Everyone. The guy who publicly lost his mind over NBC hiring someone with a different political opinion is now conveniently out the door. Now, NBC is trying to frame this like Chuck Todd is leaving on his own terms. But let's be real, that's not what's happening here. His contract was already set to expire after the election. And let's just say, things weren't looking good for a renewal. This is the same guy who got demoted from Meet the Press because his ratings were awful and he wasn't bringing anything valuable to the network. On top of that, he publicly trashed NBC for hiring Ronna McDaniel, calling them out on live TV for daring to bring in a different perspective. So yeah, does this really sound like a guy who just chose to walk away? Or is this just NBC politely showing him the door before they had to flat out fire him? Either way, he's out. And just like Jim Acosta, he's taking the I totally quit on my own route. Sure, Chuck. Whatever helps you sleep at night.